We're live. This is gonna be my intro. Ready? Today, we're talking about what gear I use to ride, and I'm signed up for the Locked and Loaded Hard Scramble this weekend in Pennsylvania, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to talk about what I bring to a race and what I ride with. A lot of the folks that are on this channel are watching me and checking out my content because they're newer riders and they're just getting back into the sport, so I thought, as somebody who's been back in the sport for a couple years now, I will share what I pack with me and why. I hope this helps you. All right, so I'm here. I've got my bags packed mostly. I'm pretty sure I know what's in all of them. The race is tomorrow, so I'm gonna finalize packing them all. But I figured before I finalize my bags, I would go through and explode them and go through all the items that I bring for a ride, and then I'll add in the items that I bring for a race. So I typically travel with, I keep all my gear in a big OGIO bag like this. A duffel bag also works great. And then I have a little boot bag that I've just have found that's been really helpful. I come back from a ride, everything's super muddy, nasty, gross, wet. I can just throw my boots in here and kind of keep it separate from all my other riding gear, like my helmet and that kind of stuff. So let's start toe to head, and we'll do it backwards. Everybody goes head to toe. Here I have my riding boots. A couple of things that I look for in my personal riding boots is one, I want a couple of buckles. I like being able to distribute my clamping force around my ankle, around my foot, and around my calf area independently of each other. So I like more buckles than less. I like a boot that has some decent flex to it. I always find that I end up walking and pushing, I'm off the bike, or I'm walking a little section to check stuff out, and having a boot that's a little bit more comfortable for walking is great for that. Some of the newer hard enduro boots have a trial sole on them, which, if you're wondering, gets rid of the heel piece. So it's just one all the way across, and then it has a nice grip pattern all across the bottom, which makes walking really comfortable, which is really nice. But I've had these for a couple of years. And they have been, they've been great. I've really enjoyed them. So there's your boots. Sock options. Here's what I wear. Most of the time I end up, or at least when I started, I ended up just grabbing a pair of 100% socks. They're nice and long. They basically go up just to below my knee, and they offer a little bit of muscular support. They're kind of tight. And then it also just makes wearing a tall boot like that more comfortable all day. One of the things that I also ended up picking up, and this was this sock from 100%, which actually has a built-in liner for your knee braces or knee pads. And so your knee pads will sit on top of this, and this comes all the way up and allows for a little bit more comfort. So that's also an option for riders. I've done both. I don't necessarily feel one is hotter than the other. Living in Pennsylvania, it's super humid. Whenever we're getting ready, we're just sticking to ourselves. And these are just really difficult to put on. So I end up going with something that's easier. The other option that has worked well in a pinch as well is just a pair of knee height compression socks. They're actually just as light. They offer compression. And so these also work really well. So if you can't find a pair of motocross socks or dirt bike riding socks, knee-high compression socks that you use for sports, CEP or any other brand like that can serve in a pinch and do just as a good job. This is the part where maybe you're gonna learn a little bit more about me than you wanted to. The next thing up after socks here is our base layer or our hip layer or whatever what kind of underwear we're wearing. I know some folks who have relied on bike shorts. They put those on first. And that's kind of their base layer, their supportive layer, their next to skin layer underneath their riding pants. It's nice because it has a little foam pad. I'll be 100% honest, I've never wore padded shorts dirt biking. What I have worn is just this, a pair of Grape Smugglers. They're the lightest, the easiest, and I don't know, I feel like everything's nice and just tight and together, and it makes it really easy for me to ride that way and be comfortable all day. So my go-to has been Grape Smugglers for my next to skin layer underneath. And then over top of those, I like to run these Leatt padded shorts. So the Leatt padded shorts, they have some pads on the hips, a real tiny one here on your tailbone, but they're pretty light. You might be able to see this is like kind of mesh material. So they have been pretty tolerable in the heat. One thing that I really struggle with is heat. So anytime I'm adding layers, I'm always wondering like how hot is it gonna make me? And this is one of those things where I just really like having the extra assurance to just something on my hips, and it keeps me fairly comfortable. Plus they offer some compression as well, so I don't feel like I need to wear anything that's long and covers my thighs for compression. Okay, so I had to stop for a second. The battery died, and my wife had a question for me when I was talking about my underwear. What's your question?
What about female riders? What should they wear?
Great question. I don't know. So if you're a female rider, comment down below for other female riders and what's been comfortable for you. It'd be really helpful because I am completely clueless with that. And it's not a question I've ever asked another female rider. Hey, what kind of underwear do you ride? So if you're a female rider, comment below, help share what you're riding if you feel comfortable with it. And hopefully you'll help out another female rider because I know probably most of my audience is mostly guys. Great question. Okay, knee pads. This is what I wear for knee pads. I've tried braces in the past. I didn't particularly like them. I thought they were too big, too bulky. Maybe if I would have spent more money on a lighter, thinner pair that were better, maybe that would have worked. I won't say better. I think they're all potentially as effective. It's just a matter of how slim and tight to the body they maybe are. But for me, I have been rocking knee pads. In fact, these are an old pair of mountain bike knee pads that I've been riding with. They're actually coming apart. I've super glued them a couple times to keep them together. I do like that they have a hard pad over the knee, which I really like. I have other mountain bike knee pads that are foam only. I want plastic over my knees because if I do hit something really hard or something sharp like a foot peg, I don't want my knee. I want that going through the foam. And then they do offer a little bit of patella protection as well, which is this little part down here. And I think that's also really helpful. So yeah, so I've just been rocking mountain bike knee pads. And I've been wearing them at the motocross track. I wear them for ride and trail, hard enduro, especially for hard enduro. I feel like where the speeds are typically a little bit lower, and I really am more concerned about just being comfortable and like having dexterity on the bike with my being able to move my feet and feel the bike beneath me. Like these have been my go-to. So that's my knee pad setup.
Cool.
All right, still live?
Still alive.
Woo! Okay, next up, torso. So I've experimented with a couple different options here and for torso. And so if it's a little bit cool out, I'll throw a base layer on, but if I'm racing, I typically skip the base layer. I'm really looking for just maximum cooling, maximum comfort. And first thing I'll throw on, I just started doing this, is a Garmin heart rate monitor. And I do this, I wear a Garmin watch because I like all the stats and stuff like that. It really helps me when I try and train a little and figure out what kind of heart rate zones I need to hit and where I need to be and what time. I have been putting my watch on my handlebar lately and using a Garmin heart rate monitor to keep this off of my watch. I actually fell one day and the watch pushed really hard into my wrist and it really hurt. So I have started putting my watch up on the handlebar. I've also noticed too that my watch, no matter how tight I make it, still moves and I can feel it moving, and sometimes that really bugs me. So,
and can you monitor your heart rate while the watch is on your handlebars?
Yeah, so by wearing the heart rate monitor, it still relays an effective heart rate signal to the watch, and then I have the watch on the handlebar where I can just look down and I have it set to my threshold, my zones, and it shows me just a big heart rate number. And I have found that during my races, that's the biggest thing that I'm concerned about is my heart rate number. And if it's up past my threshold, I can only stay there for a couple of minutes before things start to go downhill. And I only have so many matches to burn per se. So if I look down and my heart rate's in the 140s, maybe mid 150s, then I know that that is a heart rate that I can sustain as long as I'm eating enough and drinking enough for the duration of the race. So yeah, heart rate monitor goes down first. And then for my kit lately, that's been really comfortable for me. It's been this MSR gear. It's really light and it's vented. And it seems to flow a lot of air and be really comfortable for me. So that's what I've been kind of rocking lately, is this type of mesh material. MSR, other brands make this sort of similar style and material. So if you run warm, I'd recommend definitely upgrading or trying this stuff out. And it felt fairly affordable at the time when I was checking it out. Torso protection, chest and back. I go with just this Leatt. It's the Leatt 1.5 chest protector. It's pretty basic. There's not a whole lot to it, and that's why I like it. I wear it over top of my jersey. I haven't worn it underneath. I don't know if that's a fashion faux pas or not, but for me, I just like having it on top and then my pack sits right on the plastic, and I feel like it creates a little space between my actual skin layer and the pad for some ventilation. But yeah, I just wear this right on top. It's effective. It travels really nicely. It's pretty small. And yeah, there are other ones out there that I have worn that have shoulder protection and bigger, longer back protection and extra rib protection. And I just find that I can't tolerate the heat in those things. And if I'm riding and I'm hot, that means I'm distracted. And if I'm distracted, I just feel like it increases my chances of like running into a log the wrong way. Or next up, we can cover elbows and some gloves, and then we can talk about our helmet.
Have you ever gotten too hot in that vest and need to toss it?
I have. Last year at TKO, I was about halfway through my not the main race, the one that qualified for the main race. I never qualified, obviously, but yeah, I got so hot, I ended up just taking this off and I hung it on a tree. So US Hard Enduro team, if you ever watch this and you have an extra chest protector, please pass it on or use it for your own benefit. Next up, elbow pads. These are the elbow pads that I wear. They are made by IXS, India X-Ray Sierra, and they are really lightweight, they're really small. These ones do not have plastic on them, and I'm okay with that. I don't like the ones with plastic on my elbows. I feel like they're a little bit too heavy. They kind of can restrict like how my arms move and feel. So I have gone, this is a mountain bike product, and I've just translated over to dirt biking. And I find that they stay put really well. They're small, so they actually wear really well underneath the jersey. They don't make the jersey feel a little bit too tight in the shoulders because they're pulling all kinds of fabric to take up space in the elbows. They're left and right oriented, and yeah, they're just a nice, lightweight, small elbow pad that does the trick. There are ones out there that do more, that cover more forearm, which can be a little helpful, I suppose, but I find those to be a little uncomfortable, and again, they're just a little hot, so I really like how these fit and feel, and that's my elbow pad solution. I have a thing for gloves, and I don't know why. Maybe when I was growing up, I could never find them. I find a pair of gloves, but I like having a couple of pairs of gloves. Oh, here's another pair.
Do you carry more than one set with you when you're out riding?
Great question. So when I'm out riding, if I'm out training, I probably don't carry a second set with me unless it's like really kind of gross out and I'm like forcing myself to get out there. But when I'm racing, I do carry a second set of gloves, especially if I just carry a second set while I'm racing. If I were to fall for some reason and I rip a glove, it's just really uncomfortable for the rest of the race to have a ripped glove. And also, or if I typically, a lot of our races, even if it's hot in summertime, there are muddy sections that go through creeks and you're riding upstreams and you end up falling in the stream, your gloves get soaked, and it just makes holding on that much more uncomfortable. I feel like it also just like the water soaks into your skin and it makes it softer, and all of a sudden your calluses start to start to get some flappers and stuff. So during a race, I will carry 2 pairs of gloves. I'll have one on me, and then I'll have another set in my pack, which we can talk about soon. So why do I have so many gloves? Well, one, briskers. In the fall or winter time, spring, anytime it's cool out, I love running the brisker gloves. I have just found that with the 100% brisker gloves, they fit my hands so well. I cannot find any other glove that fits me the way these do, so I have just stuck with the briskers, the 100% briskers for me, and they just fit really, really well. So what I would say for gloves is if you find a pair of gloves that you really like and they really fit you well, just stick with them. I oftentimes will end up jumping on eBay and looking for like last season's and buying stuff at a discount, so sometimes that helps. And then in the summertime, I like to run the 100%. They are the Aromatics from 100%. These all fit me really well. They're really comfortable. I feel like they have really good palm abrasion resistance, and they're really durable. And yeah, just an overall good glove. So I always have a couple pairs of them, and I like having them in my pack. I like having a couple pairs when I go to ride. Again, I don't know if I'm probably a little weird here to have so many pairs, but I just like having them. And sometimes I match them to my kit, sometimes I don't really care. But I also really like having bright gloves too. Sometimes the whole idea of having a really bright glove is I can also kind of see where my hands are at, and it makes it kind of a relational position thing for me. So if I'm riding along and I happen to see like a lot of fluorescent yellow in my vision, sometimes it's a little note to me that maybe I'm a little too far back and like not being like up on the bike and riding aggressively. So I'll try and get into like a more aggressive position and get some more orange out of view and just down into the corner of my eye. So I'm not like, yeah, weird thing, but it seems to work for me. And then I'm not actually sure what these are. Oh, I know what these are. I haven't tried these yet. I want to. There are different versions of 100% glove. I don't know which ones these are. I can't remember. Ride camps, that's what they are. So yeah, at some point I want to try these. I think they'd be a pretty good fit for me. Anyway, I won't try them now, but we'll try them later. And then to stay organized, I end up using like little packing cubes like this. And I have all my like anything hand related, glove related, all goes in here together. I usually end up throwing some socks in here.
What's a good company for some packing cubes?
Well, I work at Peak Design, so you should check those out. All right, helmet. Helmet choice. For me, I have found this LS2. It's the Subverter Evo. It's actually really comfortable for hard enduro, for really slow technical riding. I have found this really comfortable. I'm not here to advocate for how safe it is versus every other helmet on the market. I'm telling you what I have found to be comfortable and easy for me to ride in and not overheat. I do have a Bell helmet that I ride in for pretty much all my other riding. This is the helmet that I've had for the last probably 6 years or so. I've had a Bell, it's a Moto 8 or Moto 9. And this has also been a great helmet. I typically tend to ride with this one at the motocross track. And I've also done some dual sport and stuff with it, although it's really noisy for dual sport, so wear some earplugs. But yeah, this is the other helmet that I wear. And really the other reason that I went with a different helmet for hard enduro was because of my hydration system and my pack that I carry. So let's get into that next. Okay, so this is the helmet that I wear. I know one of the things that I do, which might look a little goofy, but I always try and take the visor and pull it all the way up with whatever helmet I'm wearing. And the reason I do that is to keep the visor and open up my vision. And I really, unless it's like pouring down rain or something, bringing the visor low, I just find sits in front of you and it blocks part of your vision. And I just like to be able to look all the way up trail, especially if you're riding steep technical terrain where you need to be looking up a lot and picking your lines way ahead of time. Having the visor pulled all the way up and back just allows me to lift my eyes without having to lift my head and like see what's going on up there. So that's my little tip there. And then for hydration, I have this Liat drinking hose, and it actually is run through here. And I've just found for racing, not that I'm any type of professional or like gunning for a podium or a points position anywhere, but I have found that having the drinking tube in the helmet has just been a lot more convenient, and I end up drinking more often. And that's the biggest reason why I have the drink tube set up like I do here. And it's just one of those things where I can sit down for a second, grab the drink tube, stick it in my mouth, and then I can put my hand back on the handlebar and just keep moving. And when you're up against that 5-hour time limit, the 5-hour cutoff before you don't get to finish the race, staying moving is really important.
And that somehow connects to a pack that you wear?
Yes, and I'll show you that next. This is a little camera cube that Peak Design makes. I took this and converted it into my goggle array. So I have all of my goggles in here, and I have them organized. I have some Breathe Right strips in here that I use. Fortunately for me, I don't know if it's just being Italian or what, but my oily nose, they don't seem to stick for more than an hour or two, but it is nice for that hour or two to have a little bit of extra nasal passage enlargement. And yeah, just have all my goggles in here. For goggles, I typically ride a relatively quote unquote inexpensive $35, $40 pair of goggles because I often find that at some point I'm flipping them around and just putting them on the back of my helmet. And why have expensive goggles if you're just going to turn them around? So I am getting better at keeping them on longer, which hopefully is a good sign of some fitness. If you have issues with goggles fogging, here's a couple things that I can share that might be helpful. Number one, if you want to, you can go ahead and you can pull out the foam on the top. So if you ride in really dusty areas, this may not be a great idea, but if you just go ahead and rip out sections of foam. So the foam here is missing, and then on these ones, you might be able to see all the foam on top is missing. And these are basically like my cooler weather, wet weather goggles. And as long as you leave them on and don't take them off, they stay. I don't get any moisture behind the lens and no rain down through the top here. The other thing I do is I run a dual pane lens. So I have different, you can buy these lenses. I know 100% sells them, but these are actually a dual pane lens. So there's two lenses here together that are separated, and that allows me to keep these on a lot longer and not have them fog up than a traditional single lens. I have tried yellow lenses as well for overcast conditions where I'm trying to pick up and get a little bit of extra contrast with the terrain in front of me and the trail and just like make things feel a little bit brighter. I've tried the yellow lenses. I'm kind of indifferent about them. I don't really feel too much one way or the other. Maybe give them a try if you're looking for something different, or maybe your eyes react to them a lot better than mine did. Okay, packs and bladders. I have two main packs that I typically ride with. So one, I have a really lightweight, smaller racing pack that I wear, and then I have a more all-day training, adventure kind of style riding, exploring kind of riding pack. So they're both made by Usui. Those are the packs I actually have found to be the most comfortable for me and easy on-off. Just one button in the center. And then for the Usui, this is the protector model. I don't run the back protector in here because I wear a back protector personally, so I don't feel the need to have two of them in here. I just like the extra capacity that this has. I've even thrown like a hard shell layer in the top here just to keep me, if we stop somewhere, especially when I was living out in the Pacific Northwest, we would do a bigger, longer climb. We'd end up on a ridge line, might be really windy or something like that, and rainy. Having an extra layer was just really helpful to have. So just briefly, like kind of things that I have in here. I usually keep a couple of snacks with me on most of my rides. Again, this is not for my race. My race setup's a little bit different. But for my trail rides, I usually keep a few snacks in here. I keep relative personal information. There might be some walking around money in there, some WIM money. But I keep personal info, my emergency contact info. I have insurance on my dirt bike. So some places where I ride require you to have like an insurance policy on it for liability. So I do have all that in here, and I keep that stash in here as well. And then I also have, I have a couple little rolls of duct tape that are been wrapped up and put in here. So I have a little bit of duct tape with me. In the main area of the bag, I carry this little handsaw. So this is basically a chainsaw without a motor. You are the motor. I carry this with me. This is great for just if you want to do a little bit of trail maintenance out there. If there's a tree or a limb that's just in the way and you have a second, you can stop, clean it up. It just makes it easier for the next person coming through, or the next group coming through. It's not that bad. And I suppose in case of emergency, if you ever needed to make a splint or something, it's also nice to have a way to cut stuff. I do find the hand saws are actually a lot faster, but they're not as compact. So.
Have you used that one at all?
Yep, I've used it a bunch. I used to carry it a bunch when I mountain bike too, just to cut off branches and stuff.
And most of those come with a little carrier like you have?
Yeah,
there?
they all come with a little carrier like that. Oh, hey, look, an extra pair of gloves. Another pair. Oh, I really like these Fox gloves too. They're super thin. They're really nice. These fit really well too. I have just found these. I can't remember what they are. They're not quite as, I don't find them quite as durable as 100%, but these also fit really nicely and they have a real nice feel and they're super light. So another option if you're looking for looking for gloves. And then I keep a little toolkit that is with me. Crazy as it might sound, I don't carry this on race day. I go with a lighter pack and I leave my tools behind, and I just kind of hope that things are going to work out and go from there. The only thing that I might carry with me on race day is levers, a second set of levers. I run a pair of like unbreakable ASV levers, the folding levers, and they have done well so far. I've had to rebend one. I've never broken it, and that seems to be really well. So yeah, so that would be the only thing that I might swap out and carry with me on race day, is just have a pair of levers with me. And then if I'm gonna carry levers, obviously you wanna make sure you have the tools to be able to take a lever off and put it back on. So I would include that and carry that on my race day pack. I keep a bunch of zip ties in my trail bag. And then my kind of default go-to has been this Cruise Tools tool pouch. And it just kind of has everything in here that I think I'm gonna need. I think this one might in fact be made for, I feel like this one was for a BMW, but all the hex heads still work, the Allen keys, you know, your 13, 12, 10, 8mm, all that kind of stuff works. You get an adjustable wrench, a little pair of pliers. So yeah, having all this stuff with me is just really helpful. There's also a little bit of wire in here if you need to tie anything up. I've done that. I haven't done it on a dirt bike, but mountain biking, I've broken some spokes and I've used wire or zip tie to keep all the broken spokes together so they're not banging around hitting the frame. So yeah, keep this little tool roll with me, and then I put this inside of another bag just so in case any of the small things come loose. Good to have a little way to open up the axles on your bike, take them on and off. So this is included a KTM tool, so that'll be in there. And then I also have, actually have a really nice little Enduro engineering tool right here. So this is also a really lightweight Enduro engineering tool that I carry. I have two of them. This usually will come with me on race day. This is light enough. And then it also has a nice little insert here that allows you to turn this into a spark plug remover. So you can also pull the spark plug with this tool, which is really nice. And it's super lightweight and yeah, really nice on the hands too when you use it. All right, so for hydration, my trail bag, I kind of just use whatever bladder I have. I keep my bladders in the freezer. That's my way of preventing mildew and all that stuff from growing, bacteria from growing in there. So I store mine in the freezer. I have this one from Moscow that has been using for a couple of years now. It's been holding up great. And I can use this one in the trail bag. But then I also have this one here from...
How many liters?
This one is a 2 liter.
And that'll get you through? Or do you run out?
I have run out before. I've run out, you know, like a 5-hour trail ride. I've run out with like 45, 50 minutes to go, an hour to go, maybe at the most. So if I know I'm doing a super long trail ride like that, I'll bring an extra bottle of water and just throw it in my pack. And then I can drink that separately from everything else. This is a Liat bladder. This is also 2 liters. I have this set up mostly for my race day pack because it works really nicely with the in-helmet drinking option. And then, yeah, I'll fill this all the way up for the race day. And in it, I will actually put some nutrition. So let me grab that and I'll show you what I do for nutrition on race day. All right, race day nutrition. I think there's a hole in this bag. It's okay, I'm gonna use it. Okay, there is. So I have been liking this super high carb mix from Skratch. It's been really easy on my stomach and it has a lot of carbs, which I think is really important for race days. So I will mix this according to the directions on here and then probably add just a little bit extra just for my own body weight and calorie consumption. And I kind of know all that based on previous races and then data from my watch on how many calories kind of estimates that I've consumed based on my prior training rides and prior races. So kind of keep that in mind as you're thinking about your fueling. I pretty much like any of these goos. This is not a goo brand, but the goo brand, this is Huma. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Huma Plus. Huma Plus I think has caffeine in it. I don't really.
Some of them do, but the plus is more about sodium. You get
Okay.
more sodium
Yeah, so the Huma Plus has more extra sodium.
if you're a salty sweater.
Yeah, so if you're a salty sweater, there are alternatives out there. So if you find yourself that you are a really heavy salty sweater and you're the type of person that has to eat salt tablets all day long, also look for products now. I feel like there's been a lot more products recently on the market that are specifically designed for saltier sweaters. And so they have increased sodium in them so that you're not stuck having to pop sodium pills all day long. I like these gels. They're really easy to eat for me. Some folks find them, they make they're unsettling to their stomach. So sometimes drinking them with water can help a lot to help kind of dilute them, not make them so concentrated. And it might just depend on the brand too. The Goo brand ones, which I've had before, I find those to be really thick, really viscous. They kind of leave me with a lot of phlegm in the back of my throat and I'm like having to drink water. These ones from Huma are actually have found that I can just put these back and I don't even feel like I need to drink water, which has been really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna regurgitate what my wife was just telling me, which is there are basically two categories of gels out there that you can take. One is a typical standard gel, and then there's another category called hydrogels. And hydrogels are basically pre-mixed with water and designed for, they come out of the package for optimum absorption. Regular gels though, like this one, Goo, a lot of other brands, need to be consumed with water in order to make them effective, in order for them to be absorbed properly into your body. So that was something I did not know, and maybe that's why sometimes I eat these things and I feel like they don't do much.
Yeah, gotta have the water with it, unless it's a hydrogel.
Yep, unless it's a hydrogel, you should be consuming these with water. So good to know, and a little pro tip there for you. These energy chews, I sometimes will bring these if I'm taking a break, like an actual break, like I am at a point where I'm like kind of broken and I need some food, I will eat these. But I don't particularly love, I don't know, they're really, partway during a race that's hot, I'm trying to chew these things and they just feel like they take too long to get down. So I will bring these things, but I don't always kind of rely on them. And I'll usually have one or two in my pack just in case I'm like really feeling like I'm about to bonk and I need something, I'll have these. Another thing that I like to carry, which I don't have here on the table, are Rice Krispie treats. They're also really good and easy to take down. I also really like Snickers bars, but if it's super hot out, they're gonna melt right away and they get really nasty and gooey in your pack, especially if you land on your pack and you're rolling around in the mud like I tend to be. They just get all smushed and everything like that, so they don't work that great. I've done granola bars in the past. They're fine, but they're super dry, and they're also really hard to get down, so unless I'm taking like a legit break. But for a race, like I'm really looking for things that go down really easily in both in a liquid form or a gel form, and those are probably my two favorite. If it was up to me, I'd probably just carry a little thing of maple syrup with me. That would be my favorite thing. There are some brands out there like Scratch, again, not sponsored. I just happen to use their stuff and just find it easy on my stomach. This is an electrolyte booster. So if you do find that you're a heavy sweater, you can find different brands that have boosters like this. So you can throw it in there and it just helps to boost the electrolyte content, especially specifically sodium, to just make your life sweating a little bit easier. And I start with the base of high carb. Sometimes I'll even mix in the regular stuff for some just a little extra sweeter, because I don't find this to be all that sweet. And then I can also add in some additional extra electrolytes in here in the water so that it's all combined in here so that I'm drinking basically kind of like a somewhat optimized mix for what I find to be tasty and comfortable for me to help support a high continuous workload. All right. That is my setup, head to toe to head for my race this weekend. Tomorrow, I'm going to head over to the Locked and Loaded hard scramble, not hard enduro, although I watched the preview from last year and it looked like a hard enduro, so we'll see how that goes. This video is probably going to come out after that, so my goal tomorrow will actually be just capture a bunch of POV footage, and hopefully I'll chat with you in the helmet. It's supposed to pour down rain all day long, so hopefully the GoPro will hold up and hopefully everything else will hold up. Hopefully I will hold up and I can come back to you with some of my just my little race findings and give you a little race recap if you're interested in that. Thanks for following along. If you like this video, hit the
like button, subscribe.
Yeah.
You know the details.
Yeah, you know the details. My wife knows the details. During this whole video, my dog is just running around bringing toys in here and chewing them all up. That's what she loves to do. Hey, Tussie. Hey, what are you doing, little girl? Huh? Did you have fun? Yeah. Hey gang, I totally forgot. I showed you all about my trail pack. I forgot to show you my my race day pack. So I want to show you that quick. So my race day pack is much smaller. It's designed for just my 2-liter, and then there's just a little bit of extra space here for some random stuff. And then I use these little add-ons here from Usui. This is a little phone holder pocket. I like putting my phone in here. It keeps it right by my chest, easy to grab. And then this pocket here, I keep some of my goos, my gels, and some snacks. And I usually will stuff this full and get a couple of gels in here. And I can even fit a little bit more. And then that gives me quick access to some gels while I'm riding. And it's actually really comfortable and it's easy, right close to my chest. Yeah, so this is my little bit lighter weight pack. And I also just think it's a little bit cooler to wear, meaning it just covers up less space on my back. So it has a smaller footprint against my back. So I actually feel like a little bit more air flows back there and helps keep me a little bit cooler. So yeah, again, sorry, totally forgot to go over this one. Went over my big trail pack, but forgot to talk about the race day pack. Thanks. All right, something else I forgot to show you guys was the Moto toolkit. So I have one of these rigid boxes, and inside of it are all Moto specific tools that I bring with me to each race. So I've got an extra front sprocket here. I've got a bolt kit, so lots of extra hardware in case I lose something. I do carry, since I'm on a TPI KTM, I carry a new crankcase pressure sensor with me, just in case. I've got some wheel bearings, I've got some wheel seals, I've got a chain breaker in here. This is one of the chain sliders that goes on the swing arm. This is the original little toolkit that comes with the bike that I just leave in here. This is a 2-stroke dent pipe repair kit. I just leave it in there. I don't actually use it at the races. I have another throttle tube in here from G2. I have some miscellaneous hardware that just seems to travel with me, just in case I find some stuff. I've got tire levers. I've got the Motion Pro Speed Buddies. And then underneath here, I've got my little spoke wrench. This is a little tool that resets the, primes the oil pump. So for some reason, you can pull the oil pump off. Again, not something I use in the field, but I just keep it in there. This is actually a tool for a beta fork. But it's motor related, so I just leave it in there. And then this is the little, what size is this? A T15. So this T15 is what you use to bleed the forks. And if you're asking me, what do you mean bleed the forks? Try it. Go up to the front forks and loosen that T15 and let the air out. Something you might want to do, it might actually help make your forks feel a little bit better. I'm not saying you're going to notice, but you might. And then, yeah, a little T-handle in here. I 3D printed some bearing setters, not bearing, I 3D printed some fork seal setters. My fork seals were leaking one day and I needed to replace them. I didn't have the tool, so I just 3D printed it. I've got a little spark plug wrench in here from Motion Pro and a couple other little tools. This is the tool that I use to drill mooses. So I actually have a moose over there that I'm gonna end up using for this race and try. I'm not saying this is what you should do, I'm saying this is what I do. And yeah, a couple other little odds and ends in here, nothing crazy, a couple extra, looks like another pair of levers that are in here. I forgot to show you the little toolkit, so sorry about that. Yeah, thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Again, questions, comments down below, always love seeing all that stuff. It really gives me the motivation to make these videos and keep kind of chugging along. This is just a side hobby for me and I really enjoy it. And my video about learning to ride in your 40s, I just saw so many people that saying that like, I just got back into dirt biking. I just bought a new dirt bike. I can't wait to get out there. That stuff is so exciting for me and so exciting to see and hear and read. And it gives me a reason to really want to be out here and put myself in front of the camera.